Captain Elias Mercer adjusted his helmet as the shuttle approached the Zilari flagship. The metallic ship hung like a dark jewel in space, its edges glinting faintly in the light of a distant star. The mission was simple in theory: rescue Princess Lyra from the enemy. But Elias knew better. Nothing about this mission was simple. Elias glanced at the crew beside him. Each soldier was tense, gripping their weapons, eyes fixed on the target. Years of training had prepared them for many battles, but the Zilari were different. They were not just fierce fighters. They were cunning, adaptable, and merciless. Yet what made Elias confident was the human element: courage, teamwork, and sheer determination. "Remember, we get in, secure the princess, and get out," Elias said over the comm. His voice was calm, steady, even though his heart raced. "No heroics beyond what's necessary. Keep your focus." The shuttle's engines hummed softly as it closed in on the massive enemy vessel. Outside, the void of space stretched endlessly. Stars shimmered in silence, indifferent to the lives at stake inside this small human ship. Elias couldn't help but think how fragile life felt out here. A single misstep could mean death for everyone on board. As they neared the flagship, alarms suddenly blared. Sensors detected Zilari fighters launching from hidden hangars. "Ambush," muttered Sergeant Kira, Elias's second-in-command. She tightened her grip on her plasma rifle. "Formation Delta," Elias commanded. The soldiers followed, their movements synchronized, a dance of practiced skill. Lasers streaked across the blackness, the Zilari fighters darting like deadly insects. Despite their small numbers, the humans moved with precision. They could not afford mistakes. The shuttle shook violently as a nearby laser hit the hull. Sparks flew, but Elias maintained control, guiding them through the chaos. "We're going in," he said. "Hang on." Inside the flagship, the corridors were narrow and cold. The walls glimmered with alien runes that pulsed faintly. Elias led the team, every step careful, every breath measured. The princess was somewhere ahead and time was slipping away. "Up ahead," whispered Kira, pointing to a heavily guarded chamber. Inside, Elias could see a figure. Princess Lyra, her hands bound, her expression calm yet fearful. Even in captivity, she radiated dignity. "Everyone, listen," Elias said. "We move fast, neutralize the guards, and bring her out. No unnecessary risks." The team moved, and in moments a firefight erupted. Laser bolts ricocheted off the walls, sparks flying. The Zilari guards were skilled, but they were no match for human determination and ingenuity. Elias dodged, rolled, and returned fire, each movement calculated. Then he saw her, Lyra, in danger. A guard raised his weapon, aiming directly at her. Without hesitation, Elias charged, tackling the Zilari soldier aside. He felt a sharp pain in his side, but he ignored it. The princess was more important than any wound. "Princess, move," Elias shouted, grabbing her arm. She obeyed instantly, trust shining in her eyes. Trust in him, a stranger risking everything for her life. They ran through the corridors, but the Zilari were relentless. Another guard appeared from a side passage, and Elias fired, taking him down. Then came a loud explosion behind them. "The shuttle had taken a direct hit. Get her to the exit," Elias yelled. They sprinted through the shaking corridors. The princess stumbled, but Elias caught her, his strength and training guiding them forward. Finally, they reached the extraction point. The shuttle was barely holding together, but it was their only way out. As they climbed aboard, another wave of Zilari soldiers blocked the entrance. Elias's side burned with pain now. "The earlier wound was deep. Go, go," he shouted. Kira and the team pushed forward, dragging Lyra toward safety. Elias stayed behind, covering their retreat. Lasers scorched the walls around him, but he held his ground, firing back at the enemy with everything he had. "Captain," Kira yelled. "We can't hold them." Elias looked back, his face determined, but he knew the truth. He had to do this. Go now. Take her and survive. That's an order. Reluctantly, Kira obeyed, dragging the princess into the shuttle. Elias fired one last shot, and then felt a crushing blow in his chest. He fell to the ground, the world spinning around him. The last thing he saw was the shuttle breaking through the enemy defenses, Lyra safe inside. Then darkness took him. In the silence of the void, it seemed that human courage had met its end. Yet even in his final moments, Elias felt a strange sense of peace. He had done what he came to do. The princess was alive. On the shuttle, Princess Lyra knelt beside Kira, her eyes closed, whispering a prayer. "Thank you," she murmured softly. not realizing that her gratitude was reaching someone who could no longer hear it. Her fingers brushed the space where Elias had stood, a gesture full of reverence and sorrow. Meanwhile, aboard the Zilari flagship, the alien Queen Zirath observed the entire battle through her advanced monitoring systems. Her crystalline eyes reflected the chaos unfolding in space. When Elias fell, something unexpected happened. Zirath tilted her head, intrigued. No other human had ever shown such bravery. To die for another so willingly, especially a princess, was unprecedented. Humans were usually cunning, adaptable, yes, but this was different. This courage, this selflessness, it fascinated her. "Prepare the revival chamber," Zirath commanded her attendants. Her voice was calm but commanding. "I want him alive. Every human who survives death carries something special. He must live." Her advisors exchanged nervous glances. "Your Majesty, he is dead. The injury was fatal." "Exactly," Zirath replied. "And yet I will command him to live. It will be enlightening." Back on the shuttle, the crew cheered quietly as the escape began. Lyra looked at the stars, thinking of Elias, not knowing that he was no longer truly lost. Somewhere in the depths of the Zilari flagship, human resilience had caught the attention of one of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Elias's body lay in a chamber of strange lights and alien machinery. His chest rose and fell, slow at first, then steadier. The pain was immense, yet there was a force, unseen, deliberate, pushing life back into him. The Queen's command was absolute. As consciousness returned, Elias's first thought was not of anger or confusion. It was of duty. "Where is the princess?" he whispered, his voice weak but determined. "Alive," a melodic alien voice replied. "Thanks to your courage. You have drawn my attention, Captain Mercer. You will live, but your life is not your own anymore." Elias's eyes widened. He was alive but not free. The universe had changed, and so had he. Somewhere the line between life and death, friend and observer, human and alien, had blurred. He did not know it yet, but his journey had only begun. The soldier who died for the princess had been commanded to live, and in doing so he would face challenges that no human had ever imagined. The galaxy itself was about to learn what humans were truly capable of. Elias Mercer's eyes fluttered open to a world that was not his own. The first thing he noticed was the soft, almost musical hum that filled the room. Smooth walls of translucent crystal glimmered faintly, casting pale light across a chamber filled with strange machinery. He tried to move but felt strange restraints around his wrists and ankles. Panic rose in his chest, but he forced himself to breathe. A voice spoke calm and clear, unlike anything he had ever heard. "You are awake, human." Elias lifted his head, scanning the chamber. At the far end, a figure emerged, a tall, regal being with crystalline skin that shimmered in the soft light. Her eyes reflected multiple colors like galaxies in miniature. She carried herself with authority, every movement precise, every gesture deliberate. "I am Queen Zirath of the Zilari," she said. "You are Elias Mercer, a human soldier who recently distinguished himself." Elias's mind raced. He remembered the mission, the princess, the firefight, the pain, the fall. I died," he said, his voice hoarse. "I was supposed to—" "I died for the princess." Zirath tilted her head, studying him closely. "Yes, that is precisely why I have brought you here. Humans who die in acts of courage possess remarkable qualities. I have commanded your life to continue. You are no longer merely a soldier. You are an example." Elias tried to speak, but no words came. His chest still ached, his body felt heavy, and the reality of being alive against all odds was disorienting. "Why, me?" he finally managed. The Queen's voice carried an unusual warmth. "Because your courage is rare, even among humans. I wish to understand it. I wish to test it, and perhaps in time I will use it for purposes beyond your comprehension." Elias swallowed hard. You saved me?" Zirath's crystalline eyes seemed to pierce him. "I did not save you. I ordered your survival. My command is absolute. You live because I commanded it. You will follow my instructions until I see fit otherwise." The weight of her words settled heavily on him. He was alive but not free. Every instinct in him screamed to resist, yet part of him could not deny the strange relief of still being alive. "Stand," the Queen said. Without waiting, Elias felt the restraints release, and he stood, unsteady but determined. "You will undergo trials, human. Tests of mind, body, and spirit. They are designed not to punish but to reveal your true nature. If you fail, Well, failure is a human concept, is it not? Elias nodded, his military training taking over. I will do what is necessary. But I need to know, what do you want from me? Zirath's eyes glimmered. Understanding, insight. You humans are peculiar creatures full of contradictions. Brave yet cautious, selfless yet capable of deception, fragile yet indomitable. I wish to learn why. And perhaps I will offer you choices once I see the fullness of your potential. Elias's mind spun. He had survived impossible odds before, but this was unlike anything. He was in a foreign world, under the command of a being far more powerful than any enemy he had faced. And yet, there was a challenge here he could not ignore. The Queen gestured toward a large doorway, and it slid open to reveal a vast arena. The space shimmered as if alive, with walls that pulsed with energy, and floors that shifted subtly beneath one's feet. Your first trial will begin soon, Zirath said. Observe, adapt, survive. That is all any human truly needs. Elias stepped forward cautiously, studying the arena. It seemed empty at first, but then, mechanical drones rose from the walls, their designs unlike any technology he had seen. Sleek, fast, and intelligent. They moved with precision and coordination. He raised his weapon instinctively, but a mental barrier, another alien technology, prevented him from firing. The drones advanced, testing his reaction. Elias realized quickly, the trial was not to kill, but to think. To survive using wit, strategy, and adaptability. The drones attacked in waves, changing patterns constantly. Elias ducked, rolled, and used the environment to his advantage. He triggered a series of traps and manipulations within the arena, demonstrating ingenuity under pressure. Hours passed, though he could not be certain. Time in this place seemed different, fluid. Finally, the drones retreated, leaving Elias standing, exhausted but alive. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. Satisfactory, the Queen's voice said. You have demonstrated human resourcefulness, but this is only the beginning. Elias dropped to his knees, catching his breath. What happens if I fail? He asked, knowing the answer might not be comforting. Failure is educational, Zirath replied. It reveals weaknesses. You humans learn through failure, do you not? So do we. I'm patient. Days passed in the Queen's presence, though Elias had no way to measure time. He endured trial after trial, tests of strategy, endurance, problem-solving, and moral choices. He was asked to navigate mazes that shifted, to disarm traps designed to exploit fear, and even to negotiate with alien constructs that spoke in riddles and logic he barely understood. Through it all, Elias noticed something remarkable. He was not treated as a prisoner, though he had no freedom. He was respected. The Queen watched him closely, sometimes offering cryptic guidance, other times remaining silent. Her attention was constant, and he felt the weight of it, a presence that reminded him he was extraordinary in her eyes. During a brief rest period, Elias had a chance to reflect. His thoughts returned to Princess Lyra. She was safe somewhere far away. He had completed his mission, yet he could not leave. He had survived death, only to enter a world that was both fascinating and terrifying. Captain Mercer, a soft voice said. Elias looked up to see a young Zilari attendant, her expression curious. You are unusual. Most humans would break under even one trial. You endure many. Why? Elias considered the question. I guess I don't give up. Not for me, for others. That's what we humans do. The attendant tilted her head as if contemplating the depth of his answer. I see. Perhaps that is why the Queen values you. Your spirit, it is rare. As he lay on the soft, iridescent floor later, Elias wondered what the Queen truly wanted. Was she testing him for science, for curiosity, or something else? And more importantly, what would it mean for his future? He was alive, yes, but only at her command. Then came a moment that startled him. Zirath herself appeared in the chamber, closer than ever before. She regarded him not with judgment, but with a strange kind of fascination. You have lived through trials that would break most beings, she said. Your courage, your creativity, your resilience. It is remarkable. I command you to live because I believe humans can achieve things we cannot. Perhaps you will teach me, and perhaps you will teach yourself. Elias, despite the exhaustion and confusion, felt something stir inside him, a spark of determination. He had survived death once. Now he would survive this, and maybe, just maybe, he could turn his captivity into an opportunity. I will do it, he said, his voice steady. I will endure and I will learn what you wish me to learn. But I will not lose who I am in the process. Xerath's eyes shimmered like starlight. Good. That is the human spirit I wish to understand. You may yet surprise me, Captain Mercer. For the first time since awakening, Elias felt a measure of hope. He was in an alien world at the mercy of an alien queen, facing challenges no human had ever seen. Yet he was alive. More than that, he had a purpose, even if it was not entirely his own. Somewhere in the vastness of the galaxy, Princess Lyra was safe thanks to him. And somewhere in the crystalline halls of the Zilari capital, a queen had begun to see humans in a new light, brave, clever, and unyielding. Elias had fallen in battle, yet he now lived under the command of one of the most powerful beings in the universe. The journey ahead would be perilous, but he was ready. The soldier who had died for the princess now had a new life, one that might shape the fate of countless worlds. Elias Mercer stepped cautiously through the hallways of the Zilari capital, his senses alert to every movement and sound. The city was unlike anything he had ever seen. Towering crystalline spires, streets that shimmered with flowing light, and vehicles that hovered silently above the ground. Everything was elegant, alien, and intimidating, yet Elias felt no fear, only determination. Each step he took reminded him that he had survived death once. He had been chosen, commanded even, to live by a being far stronger and wiser than most mortals. Now he had to prove that humans were more than just brave soldiers. He had to show that they were clever, adaptable, and capable of uniting disparate forces. A soft chime echoed behind him. Elias turned to see a group of humans and aliens waiting. They were a small assembly, each one with distinct skills, strategists, engineers, and scouts, along with a few alien beings who had been spared trials similar to his own. They were wary of him at first, unsure if this human would survive, let alone lead. I'm Captain Elias Mercer, he said, his voice calm but firm. We're all here for the same reason, to endure, to learn, and to prepare for what's coming. One of the humans, Lieutenant Mara, a sharp-eyed officer from Earth, nodded. Then we follow you, Captain. But be aware, these trials aren't just tests. They are lessons. And failure is not always obvious. The first trial began the moment they stepped into the central arena of the Zilari capital. The floor shifted beneath their feet, transforming into a vast simulation of terrain they might face in a real battle. Holographic enemies appeared, some humanoid, some monstrous, all unpredictable. Elias quickly assessed the situation. Stay together. Observe patterns, adapt. We fight only when necessary. His words carried authority, and the group fell in line behind him. The enemies moved with unnatural speed, changing formations mid-attack. Elias led the group through the simulation, ducking, rolling, and using the environment to gain advantage. He noticed that the simulation responded to fear and hesitation. Drones and constructs exploited weakness. But when the humans acted decisively, the enemies faltered. Hours passed in a blur. Elias directed, encouraged, and inspired. When the trial ended, the group was exhausted but victorious. Xerath observed silently from above, her expression inscrutable. Elias knew that the Queen valued results, yes, but also insight. How they reacted under pressure mattered as much as the outcome. Later, Elias was brought to a quieter chamber, where Xerath herself awaited. You adapt well, human, she said. You show resilience and cleverness. But adaptability alone is not enough. You must learn to lead, to inspire not only humans but aliens as well. You will face a situation where unity is essential. Failure there is unacceptable. Elias nodded. Understood, Your Majesty. I will do everything I can to succeed. The next trial was more complicated. The group was transported to a remote planet at the edge of Zilari space. It was a desolate world, with jagged rock formations and harsh winds. There were no enemies, no immediate danger, but survival depended on collaboration, resourcefulness, and trust. Elias quickly assessed the landscape. Water sources, shelter, and food. We need all three. Divide tasks, but stay connected. Every decision matters. The humans split into teams, scavenging materials and setting up temporary shelters. Elias noticed that some of the alien allies were struggling. They were not accustomed to relying on others in the same way humans did. So he demonstrated leadership through action, sharing knowledge, encouraging communication, and reminding them of the bigger picture. By the end of the day, The group had created a functional base protected from the harsh elements. Zirath appeared again, her voice calm but firm. You teach more than you realize, human. Leadership is not only in action but in example. You inspire others to exceed expectations, even those who differ from you. Elias understood. This was not merely about survival. It was about forging trust and cooperation across species. Humans were capable of it naturally. That was something even the Zilari struggled to achieve. As the days passed, Elias and his team faced more trials, simulated battles, puzzles requiring strategic thinking, and moral dilemmas designed to test their decision-making under pressure. Each trial pushed them to the limits, yet each time Elias guided them with clarity and courage. It was during one particularly grueling challenge that Elias discovered the true purpose behind Zirath's tests. A massive simulation showed an approaching threat, the Void Reavers, a rogue species that consumed entire worlds. The simulation forced Elias to plan defense strategies for multiple planets simultaneously. The Zilari, despite their advanced technology, were struggling to coordinate. Elias studied the situation. We need to combine our strengths, he said, pointing to human and Zilari forces in the simulation. Humans are adaptable and quick-thinking. Zilari have technology and long-range capabilities. We integrate both and we can hold them off. Divide resources wisely and focus on coordination rather than brute force. The Queen's voice echoed through the simulation chamber. Interesting. You are not merely surviving. You are thinking beyond the tests themselves. You see potential in cooperation. Indeed, Elias began forming alliances. He taught humans and aliens to communicate effectively, to share tactics and insights. Small victories emerged as teams that had been at odds learned to work together. For the first time, Elias saw a glimpse of what Zirath envisioned, humans as catalysts for unity, bridging species in ways no one else could. Yet the challenges were not just physical or strategic. Zirath introduced moral tests, forcing Elias to make choices that weighed survival against ethics. In one trial, a group of alien civilians was trapped in a collapsing structure. Saving them would cost his team valuable time and resources in the simulation. Not saving them would be safe, efficient, but morally wrong. Elias chose to save the civilians. His team protested initially, worried about the consequences. But in the end, the rescue succeeded, and the team learned the value of prioritizing life over efficiency. Zirath's approval was subtle but unmistakable. You are proving humans have something unique, she said later when Elias was alone. Courage, yes, but also compassion and ingenuity. Traits that cannot be replicated, only nurtured. This is why you survived death. This is why you were chosen. Elias allowed himself a moment of reflection. The Queen's words were strange, almost flattering, but he felt the weight of responsibility. His survival was not for himself. It was for others, for those who could not endure without him, and perhaps for the galaxy itself. Amid these trials, Elias began forming bonds with his alien allies. One, a Zilari engineer named Thyra, became a close confidant. She was skeptical of humans at first, but Elias's courage and honesty gradually earned her respect. She taught him about Zilari technology, while he taught her about human adaptability and leadership. Together they devised creative solutions that neither species could have achieved alone. Another human, Lieutenant Mara, proved invaluable. She challenged Elias's decisions, questioned assumptions, and ensured that the human perspective was never lost in the alien environment. Their teamwork became a model for the others. One evening, as the twin suns of the alien planet set in brilliant streaks of orange and purple, Elias stood overlooking the makeshift camp. He thought of Princess Lyra, wondering how she fared and hoping she remained safe. Her trust, her faith in him had been the spark that drove him to survive the battlefield. Now in a world of alien marvels and perilous trials, that same spark reminded him why he must endure. Zirath appeared beside him silently. Elias did not flinch. She did not speak at first, merely observed. Then she said, "Your influence grows. You are shaping humans and aliens alike. That is a rare gift. Few beings could command respect across species. You are more than a soldier. You are a bridge, Captain Mercer." Elias nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her words. "I do what I can," he said. "But I'm still learning, Your Majesty. I am not yet the person you think I am." Zirath's eyes glimmered with what could almost be pride. "Perhaps, but you will learn." And when the greater threat arrives, you will be ready. Humans are unpredictable, Captain Mercer, but that unpredictability may be our greatest weapon. That night, Elias lay awake, thinking of the days ahead. Trials, alliances, and battles waited for him, but he felt a strange sense of purpose. The Queen's command had given him life once more. He had survived death, adapted to alien ways, and forged bonds that would be crucial for the challenges to come. Elias knew one thing for certain. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, especially when courage, ingenuity, and compassion guided them, and he would prove it, no matter what trials Zirath designed next. The soldier who had fallen for a princess now faced a new destiny. He was alive, yes, but more than that, he was a symbol of what humans could achieve, a catalyst for alliances that might save the galaxy. And the journey was only beginning. Elias Mercer stood at the edge of the Zilari Command Center, gazing out at the battlefield beyond. Hundreds of ships hovered in formation, their sleek metallic surfaces glinting under the light of distant stars. The Void Reavers, a terrifying alien species known for consuming entire planets, were advancing toward the border of Zilari space. Their ships moved like swarms of predatory insects, relentless and chaotic. Beside him, Queen Zirath observed silently, her crystalline eyes reflecting both pride and concern. Elias had grown under her watchful guidance, mastering alien tactics and forging alliances between humans and Zilari alike. But this battle would test him in ways the trials never could. "Captain Mercer," Zirath said, her voice cutting through the hum of the command center. "You have studied, led, and survived. Now it is time to apply all that knowledge. The Void Reavers do not negotiate. They do not retreat. Strategy, courage, and human ingenuity will be your greatest weapons." Elias nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. "Understood, Your Majesty. We will fight smart, not just hard. Every move will count." He turned to the combined forces of humans and Zilari officers gathered before him. "Listen up. The Reavers are unlike any enemy we've faced. They are powerful, aggressive, and unpredictable. But we have something they do not: human adaptability. If we use our minds as much as our weapons, we can hold them back and protect our worlds. Stay sharp. Trust each other. Fight together." A murmur of acknowledgement swept through the ranks. Some Zilari officers remained skeptical. Humans were brave, yes, but could they really lead in an interspecies battle? Elias ignored their doubts. Actions, not words, would prove their worth. The first wave of Void Reaver ships entered the system. Their jagged forms glimmered with an eerie light, and energy beams shot from their hulls, disintegrating anything in their path. Chaos threatened to break out immediately, but Elias remained calm. "Position our forces here," he commanded, pointing to the key choke points. "Humans on the flanks, Zilari heavy artillery in the center. Focus on coordination. Watch each other's backs. Use the terrain and deploy decoys where necessary." The battle began with a deafening roar. Lasers streaked across space, explosions shook the command center, and alarms blared as ships maneuvered to engage the enemy. Elias moved from station to station, giving precise instructions, adjusting strategies as the Reavers shifted tactics. He noticed a group of Reaver ships attempting to flank the human fleet. Without hesitation, he devised a counterplan. Humans form a wedge formation and lure them toward the asteroid field. Zilari ready the energy nets, trap them as they enter. Timing is everything. The plan worked. The Reaver ships became ensnared, their attacks neutralized. Elias's coordination impressed even the skeptical Zilari commanders. They began to follow his guidance without hesitation, realizing that his instincts combined human intuition with calculated strategy. Hours passed, and the battle intensified. Ships were destroyed, and even the most experienced soldiers felt fear, but Elias remained a steady presence, a calm eye in the storm. His courage inspired others to fight harder, to think creatively, and to act decisively. In the middle of the chaos, a critical moment arose. A Void Reaver dreadnought targeted the human command ship, its energy cannon charging for a devastating strike. Elias quickly assessed the situation. "Deploy the decoy ships. Focus fire on the dreadnought's weak points. Humans flank from the left." The maneuver required split-second timing. Human pilots executed with precision, while Zilari artillery bombarded the enemy. The dreadnought faltered, its energy cannon misfiring, giving the Allied forces a crucial advantage. The Reaver fleet began to retreat, at least temporarily. Amid the battle, Elias noticed something extraordinary. Humans and Zalari were working seamlessly together. Where mistrust had once existed, cooperation now flourished. Teams of mixed species communicated, shared resources, and adapted to rapidly changing threats. It was a testament to Elias's leadership, but also to the human qualities he embodied: courage, empathy, and quick thinking. Later, in a quiet moment between waves of attack, Elias addressed the Allied forces. "This fight isn't just about winning a battle. It's about proving that different species can work together, that courage and creativity can turn the tide against overwhelming odds. Keep your focus, trust each other, and never underestimate yourselves. Humans are not the strongest, but we survive and thrive because of our ingenuity, and that ingenuity is now yours too." The speech had an immediate effect. Even the most hesitant Zalari officers nodded, their confidence growing. Elias's words reminded everyone why humans were feared and admired across the galaxy, not because of raw strength, but because of the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to unite others under a common goal. As the Void Reavers launched another assault, Elias implemented a risky plan. "We'll use coordinated feints to confuse them, then strike simultaneously from multiple vectors. Timing is critical. Trust the human instincts, they're unpredictable." The strategy worked brilliantly. The Reaver forces became disoriented, and the Allied fleet exploited every weakness. Ships that seemed doomed moments before survived, thanks to Elias's foresight and rapid adjustments. During the battle, Elias's human crew displayed exceptional bravery. One pilot, barely out of training, risked her life to shield a damaged Zalari cruiser. Another engineer improvised a device to disrupt enemy sensors, giving Allied ships the upper hand. Each act reflected the HFY principle. Humans shine brightest when courage and ingenuity combine. By the end of the day, the Void Reaver fleet had been repelled, at least for now. Damage was extensive and casualties were heavy, but the victory was undeniable. Human strategy combined with alien technology had held the line. Zirath appeared beside Elias once more, her expression unreadable but approving. "You have exceeded my expectations, Captain Mercer. Humans are remarkable indeed. Your courage, your mind, your ability to unite disparate forces. This is rare. Perhaps this is why I commanded your life. You demonstrate the strength of your species in ways few can." Elias allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. He had not only survived death, but had led a coalition to victory against a seemingly unstoppable enemy. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. The Void Reavers would return, stronger and more numerous, and when they did, humanity's courage would once again be tested. Later, in the quiet of the command center, Elias reflected on the events of the day. He thought of Princess Lyra, wondering if she would ever understand the scope of what had happened. Her trust in him had driven him to survive, to endure, and now to lead. Every choice, every action had been motivated by that spark of human honor and loyalty. Thyra, the Zalari engineer who had become his close ally, approached him quietly. "You have changed things here," she said. "Before you, humans were seen as brave but reckless. Now we see their potential. We see your potential." Elias smiled faintly. "It's not just me. It's all of us working together. Humans may be unpredictable, but unpredictability can be a weapon. It can inspire others to think differently, to act boldly. That's what I want everyone to see." Thyra nodded. "You are teaching more than strategy. You are teaching hope." Elias looked out at the stars where the battle had raged. "Hope is all anyone has in a fight like this," he said softly. "Strength without hope is meaningless. Humanity survives not because we are strongest, but because we fight for something bigger than ourselves. And that can change everything." As the twin suns of the Zalari homeworld set, casting long shadows across the crystalline spires, Elias understood that his journey was far from over. He had led humans and aliens to victory, proved the value of ingenuity and courage, and earned the respect of the most powerful being in the galaxy. But the Void Reavers were still out there, waiting. And when they returned, humanity's edge, its ability to inspire, adapt, and endure, would be tested as never before. Elias Mercer, the soldier who had died for a princess and was commanded to live by an alien queen, had become more than a survivor. He had become a symbol, a bridge between species, a beacon of hope, and a living proof that humans could achieve extraordinary things when courage and ingenuity guided them. and the galaxy would soon see just how far that humanity could reach. The battle had ended, but the galaxy itself still seemed to tremble. The Void Reavers, though pushed back, had left scars across the systems they attacked. Worlds had been damaged, fleets destroyed, and countless lives lost. Yet in the aftermath, one undeniable truth had emerged. The humans, led by Captain Elias Mercer, had proven themselves extraordinary. Elias stood on the observation deck of the Zilari capital, watching the rebuilding efforts below. The crystalline cities shimmered under the twin suns, and alien engineers worked alongside human volunteers to repair ships, infrastructure, and communication networks. What had begun as distrustful collaboration had evolved into something stronger, mutual respect and shared purpose. Queen Zirath approached him silently, her presence commanding yet calm. "Captain Mercer," she said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries, "you have achieved what I believed few could. Not only did you survive trials and war, but you also inspired unity across species. That is remarkable." Elias nodded, his gaze still fixed on the activity below. "It wasn't just me, Your Majesty. Humans and Zilari alike worked together. We survived because we trusted each other, and we adapted when things seemed impossible." Zirath's eyes reflected a subtle glow. Trust, adaptability, ingenuity. These are qualities humans possess in ways few species can match. You have shown the galaxy that humanity is more than a simple race of soldiers or survivors. You are a catalyst for cooperation. You are extraordinary. Elias felt a quiet pride tempered by the weight of responsibility. The battles had been hard, the sacrifices many. But he understood now that humanity's true strength lay not in its weapons or technology, but in its spirit, the courage to act for others, to think creatively under pressure, and to inspire hope in the hearts of allies. A commotion drew his attention. Princess Lyra had arrived, escorted by a contingent of humans and Zilari guards. Her presence was unexpected, yet it brought an immediate sense of warmth. She stepped forward, her eyes meeting Elias's. In them, he saw gratitude, admiration, and something deeper, a recognition of the man who had risked everything for her. "Captain Mercer," she said softly, her voice carrying the weight of all they had endured. "You saved me. You survived unimaginable danger, and you have changed the course of this war. I don't know how to thank you." Elias offered a humble smile. "You don't need to thank me, Princess. I did what anyone would do for someone in need. Humans, we fight for each other. That's all there is to it." Lyra studied him for a moment, then smiled, a mixture of relief and respect in her expression. "It seems your courage does more than survive, it inspires. The galaxy needs people like you, Elias." Even as he spoke, new reports arrived. Smaller Reaver factions were attempting to regroup and strike weaker systems. The war was far from over, but Elias felt ready. He had grown under the Queen's guidance, forged alliances, and learned to lead not just humans, but aliens who had once doubted them. He turned to Zirath. "We can rebuild. We can protect the systems at risk. But the Reavers will return, and when they do, we need a coordinated plan. A coalition of species working together, united under shared goals." "That is the only way to survive," the Queen nodded slowly. "Yes, that is what I hoped you would understand. Humans are unpredictable, yet they inspire others. That unpredictability is a weapon, but it must be guided by wisdom. You now hold that wisdom, Captain Mercer." In the days that followed, Elias worked tirelessly. Humans and Zilari engineers rebuilt damaged ships, improved defenses, and established communication networks between the worlds most threatened by the Reavers. Human soldiers trained Zilari units in tactics that combined agility, creativity, and adaptability, qualities that pure Zilari combat training often lacked. In turn, Zilari officers shared their advanced technology and knowledge, creating a partnership that neither species could achieve alone. Through it all, Elias's reputation grew. Stories of the soldier who had died for a princess and was commanded to live by an alien queen spread throughout the fleets and colonies. Humans were celebrated not just for bravery, but for leadership, ingenuity, and the ability to unite others in ways no one had anticipated. One afternoon, as Elias walked through the bustling repair yards, he encountered Thera, the Zilari engineer who had become his close ally. She handed him a small device, a token of respect and friendship. "For you," she said, "a reminder that humans and Zilari can accomplish great things together." Elias examined it, a simple yet elegant piece of technology that represented unity and cooperation. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "We've done something incredible here. But it's only the beginning," Thyra nodded. "Yes, the galaxy will remember this, and humans will always have a place among us, not just as soldiers, but as leaders, innovators, and allies." Later that evening, Elias found a quiet moment on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows and painting the crystalline spires in hues of gold and purple. He reflected on the journey that had brought him here, from the battlefield where he had risked his life for Princess Lyra, to the trials under the command of an alien queen, to the alliances that had now begun to reshape the galaxy. He realized that survival had never been enough for humans. What set them apart was their determination to protect, to create, and to inspire hope, even in the darkest moments. That courage had saved not only his life but the lives of countless others. Princess Lyra joined him quietly. "You've done more than I ever imagined," she said softly. "You've saved lives, yes, but you've also given the galaxy something else, hope. A reason to believe that even in the darkest times, courage and unity can prevail." Elias turned to her, humility in his expression. "We all play our part. Humans fight, yes, but we are strongest when we fight together, with others, not just for ourselves. That's what makes us special." Lyra smiled, her eyes filled with admiration. "And you are the finest example of that, Elias." Days turned into weeks, and the coalition of humans and Zalari grew stronger. Communication networks spread, defenses improved, and the survivors of the Void Reaver attacks found hope in the leadership of Elias and his allies. The soldier who had once died for a princess had become a symbol of resilience, ingenuity, and moral courage. Queen Zirath, observing the progress from her palace, felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but under guidance they were extraordinary. Their capacity for courage, unity, and creative problem-solving could shape the fate of entire civilizations. She had commanded Elias to live, and in doing so, she had discovered not just a hero, but a force capable of changing the galaxy. One evening, she summoned Elias to her presence. "Captain Mercer," she said, her voice resonating with authority and warmth. "You have exceeded all expectations. You have demonstrated what humans can achieve when guided by purpose and principle. You are no longer merely a soldier. You are a bridge, a leader, and a beacon for others." Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I have learned much under your guidance, and I hope to continue to serve, not just humans, but all those who strive for peace and unity." Zirath's eyes glimmered. "Your service has already begun, Elias. Your actions have inspired a galaxy, and your legacy will endure." As Elias left the palace, he looked out at the rebuilding fleets and colonies, the humans and Zalari working side by side. He felt a quiet pride tempered with humility. He had survived death, endured trials, and led a coalition that had changed the course of events across the stars. But more importantly, he had proven that humans, when courageous, compassionate, and clever, could rise to challenges far beyond what anyone had imagined. In the distance, stars shimmered like scattered diamonds. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, yet Elias knew that humanity's edge, courage, adaptability, and moral strength would continue to shine. The soldier who had once fallen for a princess now stood as a symbol of hope, unity, and the extraordinary potential of humans. And somewhere, beyond the stars, the princess smiled, knowing that the man who had died for her life had not only survived, but had changed the destiny of worlds. Elias Mercer had become more than a soldier. He had become a legend,